Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject is how to use the information about auras in the world of business. There's a lot of conflicting information about auras, and most what I've seen is really just people saying something spiritual like, oh, you have a pink aura and you are sociable, magical, spiritual. And that really has nothing to do with the real world that we live in at this time. It's not necessarily not true, however. So in today's video, we are going to look at the practical applications of understanding auras so the business can run more smoothly. This is a troubleshooting technique I have been using for many years. It works for small companies as well as large companies. The further you get into the details of how auras work in large groups, the easier it becomes for both the individual working at a company and as well as management in the company to make decisions on what to do with people you are hiring, positions you want to put them in, solving conflicts within the company, and so on. This video is generally geared towards management working with employees, but this will also be very helpful for employees if they need to make a decision on changing positions in companies, leaving the company, or making their present position more efficient. To make this work really well, you will need the book Love Match in order to decipher whose aura is what, and mastering auras takes many, many years, which is why I'm putting these videos out so you can use them as references. So let's get started. Most businesses will be run by the following auras: the violet, the tan, the green tan, the yellow, the red, the blue tan, and the blue. Now, the order of this will depend on the size of the company and its function, but generally it works in that order. And of course, there are exceptions. So let's take a look at a scenario. Here is Bob. Bob has a green aura. He is hiring new people in his company. His company is rather small. It only has about 10 people working for him. Generally, it does well, but he's having problem with some of the employees. He's not getting the effect that he wants. Generally, he has hired a group of good people, but he can't see why the company isn't working as efficiently as it could. He's also getting complaints by some of the employees that many of the employees are not satisfied with the position in their company. They feel they're not suited for their job, they're overworked, and Bob begins to think that this may be the source of the problem. Bob is a green, which means he's very intelligent, binary analytical thinker, will come to conclusions very quickly. The green aura is the business aura of all the auras, but because of their thinking process, they tend to run rawshod over the psychological needs of other people, including their employees. They're often impatient with people who are still trying to figure out the answer of something when they can come up with the answer within seconds. This is why greens are not really natural leaders. They have very good business sense. They know how to make money better than any other aura. They're very good at putting ideas out. They're very good at making things happen. They're very efficient. However, their style of communication when dealing with personal issues and the like is too cold-hearted for a lot of people's taste. Therefore, they should have a manager under them who can deal with those issues, the tan blue, for example. Other auras can do this just as well, but the tan blue is best at getting information from the top of the company and handing it down to the people working for the company, and vice versa, people working from the bottom of the company and communicating to the top of the company in order to make things work smoothly. Second choices would be the tan aura and the yellow aura. The yellow aura, especially in positions like foreman or sales. The yellow is a very good leader in small groups. So Bob hires Sally, who is tan blue, and Sally starts to communicate to Bob about the complaints the employees have, and Bob in turn complains about the issues he's having with the employees. So Sally looks at the employees. There is Jane, who is in sales, and she has a blue aura. She's good at her job, but she feels it's not her. She loves communicating with other people, but when the need to make hard-nosed decisions that are not necessarily a win-win scenario, she feels very uncomfortable, especially with dealing with large sums of money. Now, since Sally knows her auras, she realizes that Jane would be better suited in a support role. So she hires her to be the company's secretary and customer service manager. And Jane begins to take off with her new position. Next comes George. George is a tan. Presently, he is in warehouse maintenance, which he can do fairly well. He is very detail-oriented and willing to do pretty much anything that no one else seems to want to do. However, he much rather be in research. And once again, Sally, knowing her auras, realizes that George has really good management skills, detailed-oriented, and very good at coming up with the research needed to make new products. So she puts him in research and product management, and he excels. But that leaves the warehouse inventory position open. So Sally hires Betty, who is a green tan. And a green tan is very good at organizing space and keeping very detailed records. She knows that the green tan aura is very dedicated, hardworking, and can pretty much take on any kind of workload. So from time to time, she has her do troubleshooting issues with the warehouse and other parts of the business. She also asks her on advice on business strategy from time to time with Bob, because she knows Betty, the green tan aura, is very good at strategic planning and works very well with greens. Next, there are some issues with labor. Jimmy is a red tan aura. He is clumsy, he forgets where he puts things, he misinterprets orders, and seems to do things randomly. On top of that, he's not very physically fit. So Sally once again looks at his aura and finds out he's a red tan and shouldn't be in labor at all. So Sally asks him what he really wants to do, and she finds out he's good at two things: sales, and with his quirky randomness, research. So Sally moves him into part-time sales and research assistant with George. George finds his randomness totally mind-boggling, but at the same time realizes that he comes up with conclusions that no one else can. His holistic thinking makes random connections that George would never have thought of. And the intellectual communication between the two of them, albeit somewhat quirky, is stimulating for both. Next came Tiny. Tiny has a red aura. Presently, he's in the position of data entry, but he hates being at a desk all the time. He hates computers, but generally likes the business and likes his job. So when Sally gets to him, Sally realizes he's a red and should be in sales, or at least manual labor at the warehouse. So Sally repositions him in warehouse labor work. But at the same time, Sally knows that the red aura is an essential part of any business. With their drive and their sheer will to win, she knows that if he works in sales from time to time, they could really get the company going in directions they couldn't before. Tiny's a hard worker, loyal, honest, so Sally feels it's worth the company's money to train him in sales as well. So she gradually gets part-time work to do the labor at warehouse, and when Tiny shows that he has the skills to do sales, she moves him into head sales coach. Because Tiny now not only has the skill, the drive, but also the experience to motivate everybody to make more money. Now I could go on and on with other scenarios, so I'll ask the viewers if you have any questions or comments about this video. Of course, auras are not the only thing that make a business work. It just helps a lot if you understand the mechanism of the people that work for you. Other issues like attitude, lack of experience, or skill, egotists, and even politics can play a part in whether a company makes it or not. It would be wise to understand any employee's aura as well as your own, but these other issues, especially egotists, will obviously make a company work less efficiently. And the reason I point out egotists is because they are the kind of person who will come to your company and say, I expect things to happen simply because I'm here, when in reality they're working against your company. Usually from the emotion of envy, because something like they wanted to make the very company that you created, but didn't have the talent or courage to do so. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments section below. There's much more to talk about this issue. This is a 3-part series. Part 2 will be about education, and Part 3 will be about how to find your true love match. Thanks again for listening. Hope to see you in the next video.